Welcome on this new lecture in the course on Big Data and Cross-Platform Analytics. Today we will study the nature of APIs and why are they of relevance for business. So we'll start with a couple of definitions, after which we will see why are APIs important in a data-driven business. So API are initials and they stand for Application Programming Interface. And in a nutshell, an API is a way to write a software so that the software becomes easy to plug with other software. So two pieces of software that each have been written with their APIs can communicate with each other more easily. And the reason is that APIs are simply conventions in writing code, so that the format of the data that will be offered or provided by the API of this software, the format of this data will be easy to recognize by this other software. And the reason is that the format of the data is the very standardized one or very common one, such as JSON or CSV or XML. So that's what APIs are. And the big deal is simply that up to the early 2000s, APIs were very uncommon, so that if two pieces of software needed to communicate with each other, like you have your data in a CRM and you need to export that to the data that you have on another part of your company, like the prospect databases or any other databases, you had no easy way to make these databases interoperable. So APIs changed that. They made easier for software to provide that data or their services to the outside world. You will hear or you will read quite often about the quality of APIs, praises for the very good API of Facebook, or the poor quality of the API of I don't know, another company. What do we mean by that? We simply mean that as APIs are conventions that help make software easier to operate with, these conventions can be very well respected or not. So you have software that, just let's take Facebook. Facebook has an API through which you can get access to the content of Facebook, all users interested in Brazil, let's say. And the way for Facebook to make this data available to you through their APIs can be more or less well executed, right? It might be more or less cumbersome for you as an application developer to use the API of Facebook, just because for very basic details such as the ease of use for you. So that's what we mean by the quality of an API. It is to what extent does the API make the software or the underlying product easy to share. And that's a very important criterion when you want to actually use the software. Okay, so let's give some concrete examples as to how APIs can really change business practices. Now that many companies make their data available in this easy way through APIs, that means that your company can access its data and use it for your own business needs. So if you were a company where you want to launch a marketing campaign or a communication campaign about how happy your customers are using your product, you could be interested in getting all these Instagram pictures where your customers picture themselves using your product with the hashtag of the product, such as Coca-Cola if you are Coca-Cola. Thanks to APIs, it's easy for you to fetch the pictures on Instagram through the Instagram API, the pictures that mention the hashtag of your company, so that you just download them through this API and reuse them for your promotional campaign. In the absence of an API, you would have been obliged to put a couple of staff visiting the Instagram website and downloading pictures every, as they happen to be published. You can, with APIs, you can just have a server in your company, call the server at Instagram, request pictures through the APIs, and get all of that instantaneously and as frequently as you need. So APIs just make it easier for you as a company to fetch data that could be interesting for you. As a company, APIs also facilitate the service of your data to any customer who would need it. So let's take the example of the Metro Transit Authority at New York City. They have, of course, plenty of data about traffic through their metro subway system. And this data could actually generate a lot of services for users. If you had all the info about traffic, about delays from trains, etc., you could build apps that help users, navigate the network, the transit network more easily. So that's what the Metro Transit Authority did. They created an API that basically provides that data to any server that requests it in an easy, conventional, standardized way with, very standard protocols of data format, etc. In this way, so this API is free. You can, ask the data without paying, but of course you could have that for a fee, in which case you just build a new channel, a new distribution channel. So just to insist, the data or the service that your company creates can find a new channel of distribution through APIs. And the third example I like to give is the inside companies. Inside companies, of course, data is scattered in many different silos in marketing in different departments or divisions. How do you aggregate all of this data in one place? Some data might be in Excel format, another one in Microsoft Access format, another one in another database format. How do you actually compile all of this data in order to have a full picture of your activity? Without APIs, you would have to convert, each format into another one. That's hell, basically. With APIs, each place where a data set is could actually have a front, an interface that provides their data in a very standardized way. That means through an API. If you would have that, data analysis and data treatment in a company will be much easier. In practice, you have very few companies that do that. If they have, you would call that a service-oriented architecture. A famous example of a company who decided to have all the data operations interfaced in such an easy plug-and-play way is Amazon. So I encourage you to check that online. Another important point that so far we discussed only how data could be exchanged through APIs. I'd like to insist that APIs allow you to provide or fetch data, but data is what you make of it, and you could call that a service. An example is the CRM of your company could be enriched if you had a view on the credit score of each of your customers. A way to get access to this data is to connect to the servers of companies who have this data, and that's Visa or MasterCard, for example. So instead of doing that manually, which would be just impractical, you would have your server connecting to the servers of Visa, which have a very nice API. I mean by that, it's very easy for your server to request the data that you need, and the data that will be returned to you is in a very conventional format. So your CRM asks to Visa, this customer, what's this credit score? And Visa returns a score, or a threshold. Yes, you can extend credit to this customer or not. So Visa is delivering data to you, but it's actually more than data. It's information. It's a service, right? And of course, Visa doesn't do that for free. It's one of the core constituents of their business models. So I hope you realize by now that APIs are a very slim, very high frequency, very easy to access distribution channel for the data that you would like to sell, or information or services you'd like to provide. Is it just for one or two types of businesses? No. Any newspaper could provide access to their archives through APIs. If you are a journalist somewhere and you would need to have access to the whole list of articles mentioning this or that keyword, well, you can browse that on the New York Times website, or you can just make a call to the API for a fee, and they would return to you the list of articles that you need. If you are, a bank, and you need to offer your services to app developers, well, you can just have an API where the developers of games on mobile phones just proceed the payments of their players to your banks, but without any paper involved or whatever, just through a connection to your bank and its API. Basically, all businesses can have a way to share one or many of their services through APIs. So it's to service customers APIs, but you can also build partnerships, so making your data or your service available to partners. You can other benefits include the fact that by doing so you protect your IPR, which is your intellectual property rights, because you know exactly who is accessing your servers, right? You can identify who's requesting your service. You can shut down access when you need it, and you can track who's basically doing what with your data. It's relatively cheap. After all, you don't have any infrastructure except for the cost of servers and maintenance. And business models are quite straightforward. If you call the API, we charge you for that. So yeah, it's a very low cost and high opportunities channel for distribution. Finally, to end on a technical note, we covered all you need to know about APIs. I'd like just to insist that you might find two keywords often related to APIs. The first one is REST, and the other one is web services. These two expressions refer to ways for developers to write APIs. So you don't need to be concerned with that. This is your IT department which will deal with that. But you might just know that APIs come in different flavors, and one of the most popular ones is REST. And as REST is the same kind of conventions that you can use to deliver web pages, not just data or services, but web pages, APIs that use REST as a technology or as a convention if you want, might be called web services. So Visa, who would offer you, the opportunity to check the credit score of a customer through the API, they might well call this service an API and or a web service, because you basically access it through the web. No need to go deeper on that, but I just wanted to highlight these two expressions. That's it. Thank you.